Alright, so I've just beaten the game a second time, and it brought me to this screen, which is not the screen that it had last time I beat the game. Last time, the first time I beat the game, just went back to the starting screen with the tower in the distance. And now we've got grass and trees growing, and the tower replaced with the tree. So that makes me wonder. And I was thinking that maybe after I completed the Tree of Life, which is uh, finding all of the meditations, including that first one that I missed, I was thinking maybe if I got all of those and then beat the game again, that there might be an alternate ending. Because at the end, when you beat the game, after the credits, he says the cycle continues without end. Only you can change the path of fate. So I figured there must be something to that. Only you can change the path of fate. I was thinking that means maybe if I do something, maybe if I get everything, maybe if I go some different way, I can do something different and make the cycle stop repeating. Because that seems to be like the bad thing, you know? Time is the enemy. The cycle repeats without end. Which doesn't really make sense. But like I said, I was thinking maybe there was a way to make it stop, of some alternate ending, but even after completing the Tree of Life, there was no, it still said that, so I don't know, but now here we are at this screen. That being said, there are still a lot of things that I'm fuzzy on, still a lot of things I don't quite get, but I think I grasp the main idea of the story. So, hold on. That was weird. I was like trying to burp and yawn at the same time, but anyway. Um, so it seems like humanity, here was humanity doing its humanity thing. And it would seem that it was actually like a post-apocalyptic kind of point. Because in the credits, I think I figured it out. In the credits, when it shows like modern industry and skyscrapers and such, and then an atom bomb, I think that's supposed to say that humanity was in the modern age, and then there was like nuclear war that decimated everybody. And then after that picture, it shows a few remaining people starting to build the tower, led by the mage. And so I think there was like nuclear war and everybody got decimated, and those few people that were left afterwards are the ones who built the tower and came from the four remaining corners of the earth, whoever was left to build the tower under the guidance of the mage. And then I'm still not sure about Solidor, because what it says is that he's basically just a knight who knew that building the tower was a bad idea. And I guess you can chalk it up to just like uh, divine visions or something, because it says that he saw a girl in his dreams. He had visions of this girl, who we can assume is Moonchild. My question is, with that, why does he have these visions, and how does he know about any of this? So, then you learn later on in one of the last meditations that the mage actually is responsible for the dragon. So after the tower was built, despite Solidor's objections and trying to bring people to reason, the tower was still built. By the time people were starting to listen to him, it was already too late. And I don't know if the mage created the dragon, or if the dragon was already there and the mage tried to control the dragon. But either way, it seems like the mage somehow was responsible for the dragon being in the tower, and tried to control it, tried to make it into what I assume was a guardian of the tower. But the dragon ended up going on a rampage, rebelling against its people, and killing everybody. At least that's what it seems like to me. And then the next thing I'm unclear about is what was Solidor's sacrifice. Because it says that Solidor was looking for the girl in his visions and he did not appear. She did not appear. And then the next thing it says is that unknown powers forced you from the sky. And I'd say it's pretty clear that that is referring to the tower's completion forcing the moon from the sky when the sun refused to leave. Now what I don't get there is the sun the bad guy here? Is the reason, like, who forced the moon from the sky? Was it the people who built the tower, or was it the sun? Because it says when the tower was built to reach the heavens and embrace the moon, the sun grew angry and refused to leave the sky. So does that mean that the sun forced the moon out of the sky so that he would never have to leave? Or was it something that the people did with the tower that forced the moon from the sky? Because then it says that the mage forced moonlight into your frozen form. And that's its own thing right there. Because what that means, as far as I could tell, and I didn't get it until I saw it the second time, but I think that, and when the mage says that he's your father, I think he means that literally. I think that Moonchild was his daughter, was the daughter of the mage, and she was killed by the dragon. And then he says, because it says in the meditation that he forced moonlight into your frozen form in hopes of bringing you back to life. So I think that's exactly what that means. The dragon killed his daughter, and so he tried to bring her back to life by taking the moonlight forced from the sky and putting it into her. And so then his daughter became Moonchild, the embodiment of the moon. Or something. And so that's that. But then what I still don't understand, because it says, unknown powers forced you from the sky. You awoke to see the mage reveling in glory and madness. So maybe that means that she hadn't actually... Maybe that means the moon hadn't been forced into the child yet. It could be that the moon was forced from the sky first, before the dragon killed everybody. And so then... But then how would the moon awaken to see the mage, if not already in the girl? See, this is what I don't understand. It seems to jump all over the place. But one way for another, the moonlight was forced from the sky, and put into Moonchild, who seems to be the mage's daughter. And it says in one of those final meditations that the mage forced moonlight into your frozen form, hoping to bring you back to life, and, like, begged for mercy, knowing he had done wrong, but the sun was merciless, or something like that. The sun raged. And, so I'm not sure what's up with that. And then there's the fact that before the mage says he forced moonlight into your frozen form, but after it says you were forced from the sky, so in between those two, it says that Solidor made some sort of sacrifice, and that sacrifice freed you from your cell. Whatever your cell was, I'm not sure. It said that, wait, I might have just had an idea. Because it says that Solidor made some kind of sacrifice, and I still don't know what it means by that sacrifice. Because it said he made a sacrifice that freed you from your cell, and then later it says he woke up from his whatever and started climbing the tower. But I was never clear on what the sacrifice he made was, and I still don't quite understand that. But could be maybe when the moon was forced from the sky, when the tower was completed and the moon was forced from the sky, maybe the moon was just imprisoned in the tower. That could be what it was. Maybe the tower was built to hold the moon, and they did that. They, like, took the moon from the sky. So maybe the sun wasn't the bad guy. Maybe the sun didn't just refuse to leave the sky. Maybe the moon was taken from the sky by the tower. But either way, whether it was the sun or it was the tower, it seems the moon was trapped in the tower. And then I guess maybe Solidor somehow freed the moonlight from where it was in the tower. But gosh, maybe that doesn't make sense, because then what would stop it from just going right back into the sky then? Why would the mage then need to force the moonlight into his daughter? Unless he did that, unless maybe the moon was going to go back into the sky, but instead the mage put it into his daughter to bring her back to life, and thus trapping it inside her to bring her back to life. But I don't know if that makes sense. Either way, two of the main things I'm confused about are A, what is the sword? What is the significance of the sword? Where does it come from? It makes it seem like maybe it's Solidor's sword, but then why doesn't he have it? Why is it at the top of the tower waiting for him? And what's its connection to Moonchild? Why is this sword so intrinsic to Moonchild's being? And then, anyway, it says that Solidor made a sacrifice that freed you. And then, alright, the other thing I don't understand is there a connection between Solidor and the sun? Because, I mean, just his name alone, I don't know much Portuguese, but I know that Sol, S-O-L, is the Spanish word for sun, and I know Portuguese is very similar to Spanish, so I assume that Solidor, the name Solidor, has something to do with Sol, the sun. And it kind of makes it seem like maybe Solidor is the sun, because it mentions several times in meditations that Solidor, like, it mentions how, like, Solidor threw himself into the abyss, and how he, Solidor threw himself into the abyss, and then immediately after that it says, you followed him, following the sun, as you forever do, or something like that. And so, like, is he the sun? And it talks about how Solidor threw himself into the abyss, and then rose as a star, just as you do, whereas the mage didn't. And I don't know if that means the mage also tried to jump into the abyss and just ended up becoming a shadow on Earth instead of rising to be a star, or if he was just talking about how he died, not necessarily jumping into the abyss. And then there's also, what is the abyss exactly? Because it seems like it's just a meditation, and for all I know, maybe that is what it is. Maybe there's no literal abyss. Maybe that was, like, in her head, and that was just, like, symbolic of her maturing and rising up to the challenge. But either way, Mage says Solidor jumped into the abyss and rose as a star, just as you do. So that makes it seem even more like Solidor is supposed to be the sun. And then it says when you're supposed to go fight the dragon with Solidor, it says sun and moon together. So is Solidor the sun? But if he is, then why was he just a knight on Earth protesting the building of the tower when the sun was still the sun in the sky? It's possible that maybe Solidor is just kind of like a personification of the sun, like a projection of the sun that came to Earth to try to stop them from building the tower because he knew better, because he knew what it would bring. But then that still doesn't explain why the sun, like, would refuse to leave the sky afterwards, unless maybe that's not actually true. Maybe the sun wasn't actually being a bad guy and refusing to leave the sky. Maybe it was just that he couldn't leave the sky after the moon was taken from the sky, which I still don't fully understand how that works there. But either way, then you and Solidor defeat the dragon and return you, Moonchild, the moon, to the sky. What I don't understand there is the repeating of the cycle. Because what I initially thought was maybe it's supposed to be, like, symbolic of the annual cycling of the moon, how it goes through its various phases throughout the course of the year, and that it's like the new moon is you being born at the bottom of the tower, and then it goes through its waxing and waning as you climb, and then is full again once you reach the top. I was thinking maybe it's like that, but that doesn't make sense, because what about the dragon? It seems like the dragon is the bad guy here, and I was thinking maybe the idea isn't to defeat the dragon. Maybe the dragon is just like an opposition, but you're not necessarily supposed to kill it, and it just kind of gets in your way as you climb. But then once you get to the top, you're there, and then you get back to the bottom, so the dragon can start trying to stop you again, except that you do kill the dragon. So how then does the dragon come back after you kill it? How does the cycle keep repeating if you have killed the dragon and it comes back to life? What that says to me is that it's not just a continuous cycle of going up, coming back down, going up, coming back down. It's actually time, like, resetting itself, because how else would the dragon come back? And it says several times throughout the game, it mentions time, like, with a capital T, almost as a character, an entity, and kind of makes it seem like time is the bad guy. Because it says at the end, once you reach the sky, and the shadow falls, cherish that shadow to your heart, for in that moment time will know defeat. And what does that mean then if time isn't actually knowing defeat? What does that mean if even after you get back to the sky, you still end up going back down to the bottom and having to start over? And does it mean time will know defeat? Is time a bad guy? I don't understand. So these are the things that I'm unclear of. And it seems like there might be two separate stories going on here. One with a... Let me continue recording real quick. But it seems like there might be two separate two separate stories going on here. The metaphorical story involving the sun and the moon, and then the literal earthly story involving the tower and the dragon. Because it seems like the earthly story is just that people built this tower and the mage either created or controlled this dragon to try to protect it or something. And then the dragon rebelled against them. Well, rebelled is a weird word for it, but the dragon turned on them and killed everybody. And that was the big calamity. Even after the post-apocalyptic thing, whatever apocalyptic calamity happened, the few people that were left were trying to build this tower. And Solidor, whether or not he is the sun, I guess somehow knew what was going to happen. He was having these visions, I guess, and knew that... maybe he didn't know exactly that it was going to be the dragon that would kill everybody, but I assume he knew that something bad was going to happen and kill everybody, and then that something ended up being the dragon that killed everyone. And then, so all that's left is the mage's daughter, who's been brought back to life when he forced moonlight into her, maybe with his dying breath, I don't know, because he's clearly dead when you're journeying, as is everybody else, except for Solidor. And, so yeah, that would be that literal story, the dragon being the bad guy who killed everybody. And then there's the metaphorical story with the sun and the moon. And something else I don't understand is, why is Solidor climbing the tower? Because it says he has visions of this girl, who obviously is Moonchild, and it says that he waits for her for years, but she never appears. Why is he waiting for her? What does he think she's going to do? Who knows? It could be that he thinks that she'll be able to stop the tower from being built, or maybe he knows that she will be able to save everybody after the calamity happens. He's waiting for her, and she never appears, presumably because it's not just the mage's daughter that he's seeing in his visions, it's Moonchild, the mage's daughter, as the embodiment of the moon, and she doesn't exist until after the calamity happens. So, and then it says, Solidor awoke and began to climb the tower, and he paused once when he saw you, Moonchild, but there was no going back now, or something like that. What does that mean? Why is he climbing the tower? What is his goal climbing the tower? Is he trying to defeat the dragon? And if so, why does he pause when he sees you, and why is it too late for him to stop? I assume that it could be because he's climbing the tower to try to defeat the dragon, but honestly, what's the point in defeating the dragon if everybody's already dead, you know? What is he trying to accomplish? Or is he maybe just trying to defeat the dragon so that the moon can return to the sky, so that the dragon won't oppose Moonchild returning to the sky? I suppose that would make sense, but then there's still the question of what's Solidor's connection to the sun. And it says later then that Solidor and the dragon understood each other as what was it? Let me go back and look real quick. Okay, yeah, it says Solidor awoke and, drawn by the moon, began to climb the tower. So when it says drawn by the moon, does it mean the moon is at the top of the tower? Or does it mean drawn by the moon as in drawn by his desire to return the moon to the sky? It says silence fell across the land. Does that mean that there are still people awake? Because it does mention a couple times how silence fell across the land. And how, like, everybody was silent. Does that mean that everybody's dead? And when it says drawn by the moon, he paused once when he saw you, but there was no going back now. I still don't fully understand what that means. And then it says referring to Solidor and the dragon. When he gets to the top of the tower, it says their spirits clashed, and in that moment Solidor and the dragon understood each other. The dragon cried out as Solidor... oh crap, I already forget what it said. The beast's soul cried out as Solidor surrendered himself to the fate that trapped them both. And so that makes it seem like the dragon maybe is also a victim. And who is he a victim of, though? Is it time? Is time the overriding bad guy here? Are they both victims of fate that keeps them going through this continuous cycle of having to climb the tower and fight each other? And if not that, then what? How can they... what is the fate that controls them both? And what makes the dragon a victim? What do they understand in each other? And on that note, if Solidor has already been up to fight the dragon, where is he? And why is he waiting up there? If he's already been up there to fight the dragon, does that mean he lost when he surrendered himself to fate? Does that mean the dragon killed him? If so, how is he still there? If not, what has he been doing up there all this time? And what happened between him and the dragon? When it says he surrendered himself to the fate, does that mean, was that him jumping into the abyss? And I still don't know if the abyss is a literal or metaphorical thing. And gosh, it's just so complicated. I guess I'm gonna have to keep thinking on it, though. I'm gonna have to just look over all of the meditations, look over all of the text, try to figure it out. Maybe I'll try to play through the game again to see if this does something. Maybe I have this screen because I completed the Tree of Life, or maybe it means something else. Maybe if I go through the game again, I highly doubt they would make you go through it 3 times if there was going to be anything. So there probably isn't, but I might try again just to see. But at any rate, it seems like the story, as I understand it, is that there was humanity in the modern age, nuclear war or something. The people who were left built this tower under the guidance of the mage. Solidor, whether or not he has anything to do with the sun, had visions and somehow knew that building the tower would be bad. But they didn't listen to him, built the tower anyway, brought the dragon somehow, and the dragon killed everybody, including the mage's daughter, who he brought back to life by forcing moonlight, which had been forced from the sky, into her body, by taking the moon that was somehow forced from the sky, I still don't understand how, and putting it into her. Maybe Solidor had to free the moonlight from the tower before that could happen, or maybe not. Either way, Solidor then did something, made some sort of sacrifice, whatever it is, climbed the tower to fight the dragon, and I guess died, or something, maybe metaphorically died, jumped into the abyss and rose to become a star. I guess means just rose to actually face his fate. And then there's you, Moonchild, who has to make your own way up the tower and follow in his footsteps. You know, that's something I forgot about. It says you have to follow the knight's path, so maybe that means you're following his path the same way he climbed the tower and then jumped into the abyss and rose to become a star. You're doing that the same way he did. And that raises the question, though, of, like, the sun was already there, so what is he doing that for? He doesn't need to rise to become a star because the sun is already there. You're doing it to become the moon. But, at any rate, you follow his footsteps, you rise to become a star, and then you fight the dragon with him at the top of the tower in order to return yourself, the moon, to the sky. That's, I think, the bare bones of it. That's the best I can do right now. I'll probably put together a whole edited video with all of the meditations and stuff on screen at some point. I don't know when, but I guess be looking out for that, because I'm not done with this game yet. I want to know, because I guess it's recent enough that there aren't any other, nobody else has made, like, an explanation video, or no other website has explained it, or even given a bunch of speculation like I'm doing now. So I guess if I have to be the first person to do it, then I'm gonna be, because this game has its hooks in me. I want to know its secrets, and I will find them, by gosh. So that's all I got for now. Hope it helps you. Hope it helps me. And I guess we'll see what further mysteries there are to uncover. that being said, I just have to say again, what a fantastic game this was, what a phenomenal journey, and what a beautiful experience it was. And I really hoped that more comes of this. I really hope to see more like this in the future. And I'm really supremely glad that I got to have this experience. So, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and play the game for yourself, too. Because there's a lot of stuff in my playthrough that I missed that I found the second time around, so definitely get this game and play it for yourself. You won't be disappointed. Find all the secrets. And, yeah, guess that's about it for now. This game rocks. I'm really bad at ending things, so bye.